Wherever you at, let's get into it this evening. Let's get into it tonight. It's gonna be a nice little class. And I thought of this because there's just a lot of stuff going on in Israel. You know what I mean? Uh just so much stuff. And we get that it's swirling and whirling down to the end. You can just see it, you know. So tonight's class, um, oh yeah, so Shalom Israel. Welcome to another Iron Sharpers Iron edition. And the topic, was a little long, but we had to make some adjustments. Okay. Do Israelites identify parties? Heck yeah. All right. But here's the thing. They had to beat us into submission. We had to quit. We was almost being choked out. Somebody put that arm lock on you and you tapped out and he's like, all right, I'll be a liberal. I'll be a radical conservative, all this stupidness. Okay. Um, so now, you may say, well, brother, we identify as Israel. We're God's chosen people. And that is correct. However, we are in captivity, brothers and sisters. Okay. And we have been indoctrinated, propagandized, and worse than crack, we've been Christianized. All right. We still trying to break that. It's slowly but surely breaking. But that Christianity, boy, that's some strong stuff. They had that in the lab for a minute. I'm sure they killed a whole bunch of rats trying to cook up that Christianity because that stuff is potent. All right. And some of us, we became Israelites. We went right back to being a Christian. All right. So hopefully they wake up again, or they was just being used to wake somebody else up. So again, the reason for the class is simple. These different parties and classifications comes from, confusion. All right. And I'm gonna play the first video, but Israel, we have to break out of this. Well, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm this, I'm that, not even knowing where all this stuff started. And that's the problem, with our people. We just don't care, because we've been so beat up, you know. Um, you get exhausted. It's like coming home from work, right? And you're exhausted. And I remember I was in the army and I used to push my soldiers. Because it's train how you fight, and when you're in there fighting, you can do whatever. But I believe in that you train how you fight, and we push. I couldn't even move. Like I pushed my men. I pushed me so hard, I couldn't even get up. And for those of you who played sports, football, you got Hell Week. Um, I don't know if they got that in baseball. I play a little bit of baseball. Basketball, they push you, up and downs and stuff like that. Um, I don't know. I guess if you join a gang, they kind of push you, but pulling the trigger is not that hard. And when you get jumped out, I don't know too many people that died from it. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't like there's a curriculum. Um, I believe maybe like the First Bloods, all those guys, used to lift weights and stuff like that. That's what Bloods was known for. But anyway, um, anything that you've done that push yourself to where as though you can't even lift your arm and stuff. That is what they did to the so-called Israelites. They pushed us till we just couldn't do it no more, and we just broke. Like they said in the Willie Lynch letters, you gotta break an Israelite like they're a horse. And they did that. And this is why we conform to it. You know what I'm saying? Real easily. It took some years. It took some years. And then right when we about to break free, they come out with this, Underground Railroad. She miraculously for 10 years didn't get caught. Okay. 10 years before slavery ended. But anyway, all right. I ain't got nothing to say bad about Harriet Tubman, but I'm just saying, there's a lot of stuff out there. And I always had my little antennas up about that. So I'm gonna play the first video. All right. So remember what I said, we are in captivity. We are indoctrinated. We have been propagandized, and we are Christianized. Okay, and Christianity is so powerful because um, it's almost like the different political parties and classifications. You know what I'm saying? If I break it down, I didn't want to get on to it, be here for 2 days. But you got Presbyterian, you got all this Methodist, Catholics, Orthodox, Mesopotamian, you got all this stuff. It all breaks down. It's all stupid, right? It's confusion, right? So let me play this first video before I talk y'all ear off. Salakia. Okay.
And welcome to the channel where you can find out the history of about almost everything. Today we will focus on a little known fact about the Great Switch, how the Republican and Democratic parties flipped ideologies. You're about to learn fascinating information, so make sure to stay till the end. The Democratic and Republican parties have not always had the same ideals that they have today. In fact, America's two dominant political parties have essentially flipped ideologies in the time since they were founded. The Democratic Party was founded in 1828, while the Republican Party dates back to 1854.
Now, remember the Democrat was 12, Republican 1854. So I'll let it play. I'll let it play. But let me replay it. All right.
Republican and Democratic parties flipped ideologies. You're about to learn fascinating information, so make sure to stay till the end. The Democratic and Republican parties have not always had the same ideals that they have today. In fact, America's two dominant political parties have essentially flipped ideologies in the time since they were founded. The Democratic Party was founded in 1828, while the Republican Party dates back to 1854. In its early years, the Republican Party was considered quite liberal, while the Democrats were known for staunch conservatism. This is the exact opposite of how each party would be described today. This change did not happen overnight, however. Instead, it was a slow set of changes and policies that caused the Great Switch. At the outbreak of the Civil War, Republicans controlled the majority of northern states. The party sought to expand the United States, encouraged settlement of the West, and helped to fund the Transcontinental Railroad and state universities. Additionally, because of growing tension over slavery, many Republicans became abolitionists who argued against slavery. Democrats represented a range of views, but shared a commitment to Thomas Jefferson's concept of an agrarian, farming society. They viewed the central government as the enemy of individual liberty. Because most Democrats were in southern states, they fought to keep slavery legal. As the war came to a close, the Republican Party controlled the government and used its power to protect formerly enslaved people and guarantee them civil rights. This included the three Reconstruction Amendments, which won Republicans the loyalty and vote of America's Black population. Unsurprisingly, most Democrats disapproved of these measures. However, a change had begun in the Republican Party following the Civil War. Northern industrialists had grown rich from the war, and many entered politics afterwards. These new wealthy politicians did not see much sense in supporting the rights of Black Americans when the nation was still largely white. By the 1870s, many in the Republican Party felt that they had done enough for Black citizens and stopped all efforts to reform the southern states. The South was left to the white Democrats and their oppressive policies towards Black citizens after the Compromise of 1877 ended Reconstruction. With the end of Reconstruction, the Solid South voted for Democratic presidential candidates for the next 44 years. Almost 60 years later, the Great Depression became a catalyst for a massive political shakeup. The Republican Party had continued to be dominated by wealthy businessmen, which meant that they had come to favor laissez-faire policies that supported big business. These policies were
Yeah, that was, Rockefeller, that was Wells, the guy that makes Wells Fargo, um, all those Esau people.
effective when the economy was booming, but were disastrous when it wasn't. When the economy crashed in 1929, the Republican president, Herbert Hoover, opted not to intervene, earning him and his party the ire of the American public. Franklin D. Roosevelt, a Democrat, sensed the need for change. He campaigned on a promise of government intervention, financial assistance, and concern for the welfare of the people. He won the 1932 election by a landslide. It was FDR's campaign policies that caused a major shift in party ideologies.
And there you have it. So that's when the shift began. And the white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. He already knew what he was doing, so he already was going to switch it up. And that's what we're trying to tell our people. Like, if you're not supposed to vote. We know that. However, if you're going to do something, have the knowledge to understand it. You know what I'm saying? Like, get the intel on it. You know, just like the elder was saying earlier, we're going to do breakdowns according to the One West, because once you start breaking it down a different way, now you got some other doctrine that's being, you know, baby, it's got a little infant doctrine, and the next thing you know, it's a whole teenager. You know what I mean? And this is that whole Christianity. Like I said, I'm gonna go into it. So what they were talking about in the video was, we was talking about Republicans, we was talking about Democrats, right? So Republicans started, the root is, its principles was Republican. It emphasized on government, which resides elected individuals representing the citizen body. The word itself derives from Latin, of course. So Latin. Where does Latin come from? The Roman Empire. All right. Which gets into the Tiberius brothers. I've mentioned this before. They were the ones that started this whole Republican Democratic thing, right? Because it started with the Greeks. With the Greeks started democracy, which we'll get into the etymology of it. So the etymology of Republican, okay? It translates to res publica, which translates to public affair or commonwealth. All right. Of course, like I said, the party was founded in 1854. But here's the thing: Democrat Party was found 1828. So what happened between 1828 and 1854? Ding, ding, ding. Nat Turner. That brother was a beast. Okay. He happened. Yep, he sure did. And they was like, man, we can't have this. Slavery about to end. Right? 1854. So that means we had like what? 10 more years? 11 more years? My math right? So 18, so brothers was all, counting on him. You know what I'm saying? That Turner happened. Of course, all of Israel heard about it. Haiti free, they running around different states, getting people to come up. They ain't know what they was doing. So they came up with different things. So, all of a sudden, Democrat and Republican was born. Just think about it. You think things wasn't happening before 1831? Nat just didn't read the Bible one day and was like, I'm gonna kill all whitey. Nah, it didn't happen like that. See, when they teach you stuff in school, they never show you where the boiling started, where the bubbles start to come up in the water. They don't ever show you. They just show you when it's boiling. Just like these videos, like that Carmelo Anthony thing. There's a real true video about the brother from the young man that's from Texas. And I stand corrected. I was wrong. I thought he did bring the knife to school. There's a lot of stuff they brought out that wasn't true. And I can say I stand corrected. I thought he had brought a knife to school, you know, but nobody want to say anything because it's an all-white town. They showed us when the water was boiling to the boiling point, but they didn't show it when it was getting hot and a couple of bubbles and stuff like that. So things were rising up. So between 1828 and 1854, they was cooking up. All right, how are we going to get these? Because remember, we're getting ready to get into the Reconstruction. Because the Reconstruction of America is where we got set up for failure. Okay. So Democrats,
Salakia, elder.
huh?
Slavery ended in 1854.
No. Slavery ended 1865.
1865. That's 150 years roughly.
Mm-hmm.
Man, my grandmama 80.
Hey man, wasn't that long ago when you think about it.
Man, that's crucial. I didn't realize it was that close, man.
God.
Wow. Boy, that's crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. Con. Each one teach one. And this is why we have these classes. You know, you probably wasn't thinking about it like that. But yes, 1865 wasn't that long. And then 1866, it ended for people down there in Galveston, Texas, and various other places, I'm sure. But they always want to put Galveston up there because they waited another year before it ended in Galveston. It's some island in Texas. It's like, the southern of Texas. But yes, wasn't that long ago. So they always been plotting. So Democrat, over time, the term Democrat, it came to be associated with political movements and parties that embrace democratic principles. Okay. So the term Democrat, a member of the Democratic Party. Hold on, let me get a definition. Salakia. Got it right here. Come on. All right. So Democrat. So the etymology is the word Democrat originates from the Greek term Demokratia, meaning ruled by the people. It is derived from words demos, kratos, okay? So remember, the first white empire, so-called white man, the first all-white empire was what? The Greek Empire, okay? The Greeks were the ones that kicked out who we call Hawaiians, okay? They beat them up. So King Henry and which was Alexander the Great, they all went in. Well, that's his father. They went in there and beat up the Japa, okay, and kicked their butts out. And they started, moving back to where what we call some Samoa and Hawaii and stuff like that. So, and those lands were Japa, but the so-called white men, who they call the Greeks, they kicked them out. All right. And that's when they started coming up with democracy, Democrat, and all that stuff. And talking about rule by the people. And it's a game. Okay. Um, so it says, meaning Democrat is a person who advocates for government by people, usually through representative democracy. They typically believe in principles of liberty, equality, social justice, and the protection of minority rights. So right then and there, I ain't gonna get all into it, but this is where all the confusion comes. You know what I'm saying? So let me get let me get First Corinthians chapter 14, verse 33. Baba Kusha.
This is the book of First Corinthians, chapter 14, and verse what again?
And verse 33.
Verse 33. When you have it, say con.
Good.
Con, our praises for Yahweh is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints.
So it's self-explanatory. So now we've been given certain things, right? So the covenant was given it to us. So where is this Democrat? Where is this Republican? Where is this liberal? All right. So you got a liberal, definition of liberal, willing to respect or accept behavior or opinions different from one's own, open to new ideas. Christianity, relating to or denoting a political and social philosophy that promotes individual rights, free will. Christianity, civil liberties, democracy. It all goes back to Christianity. Conservative, adverse to change or innovation in holding traditional values. Okay. That's a pretty slick one, right? Definition 2, in a political context, favoring free enterprise, private ownership, and socially traditional ideas, often contrast with liberal. Man, that's kind of the same thing, huh? So now the liberal, he's not trying to, there's no tradition, he'll do it on himself. A conservative, he holds on to something, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to follow it. And this is where you get Christianity from, the different levels of this stuff. All this stuff starts with this stupid political democratic parties, or correction, all these political parties. Okay. And this is our people keep getting wrapped up into this. But God is not the author of confusion. Because if he was, he would have gave us the 613 law, statutes, and commandments, right? Then he would have said, listen, you guys don't really have to, I'm not gonna, we wouldn't have no curses, we wouldn't have no punishments, we just be chilling. You know what I'm saying? We could just, well, you got it there's always, it's either you're gonna do right or you're not. America allows you and your children and whomever, we all come from here, it allows you to play in between yes and no. It allows you to play in between there. Because remember when we were younger and we was like in elementary school and you like that girl, you know, that's when girls were girls. Okay. So you like that girl and you write her a note, I like you. Would you like to be my boyfriend, I mean girlfriend? Yes, maybe, no. So that's America. So now there's yes, maybe, think about it, call me later. We can Netflix and kick it. We can be cuddy buddies. We can be this. We can be that. All the way down to no. This is why we doing this class tonight. Do Israelites identify with any political parties? And I'm gonna tell you, you guys coming out of this Christianity, you guys coming out of this Islam, you guys coming out of this Buddhism, this Wiccan, this Kemet, we don't subscribe to that. And if you need help, we got a Day of Atonement that's coming up in a couple months. We have elders, we have senior men. It's all about repetition. The same way you had to pledge allegiance to the flag, not the same way you had to do that, repetition, right? The same way that you take your kids to get shots. Why are you taking your son, a newborn, to get a what is it, a Hep B shot? I think it is Hep B, a hepatitis shot. He ain't done nothing. The same way Christians say we're born sinners. Well, sin is transgression against the law. What has that infant done? And when you start to think like that, it's easy to fall into this liberal, conservative. You know what I'm saying? That is the closest thing to being, following God's laws, because it says a person who supports traditional values, right? With limited intervention, or correction, with limited government intervention, right? So don't nobody really want conservatives around, but it still hasn't failed yet. The only thing that's going to work is we follow these law, statutes, and commandments. So again, why are they giving us all these terms and all this tomfoolery and stuff like that? Let me get because certain things wasn't given to them. So they're jealous. So they're trying to make us, they're trying to make up for what we received. Because we received the covenant. They're trying to make up for that. This is where all these different terms come from. This is for all this classification, all this politics. Let me get Exodus chapter 19, verse 5 through 6. Baba Kusha.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 19, starting at verse 5 when you got to say con.
Good.
Now, therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. Verse 6, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
Hi. So this Republican Democrat this is like the Republican and Democrat comparison of today, because they had to make two different parties, right? They couldn't make just one party, because maybe we would have woke up a little bit sooner. So they had to say, oh, we're going to have different parties and we're going to have different classes in this party. So because Israel, um, you know, why do they, I'm sorry, Salakia. This Republican and Democrat comparison today. Why? Because all Israel did not go off, and then the name game began. In other nations, we were called, Egyptians, Samaritans. We were worshiping Baal, among other guys from our oppressors, from the different. Hold on for a second. Clubhouse. All right, Shalakia, I'm back. Can you guys hear me? I'm back. All right, so Con.
Oh,
So the reason I'm bringing that up, because everybody's like, well, what that have to do with it? Because we were given the covenant. We were given laws, statutes, and commandments, right? And we always kept falling off. We kept wanting to worship the other nations' gods and all this other stuff. So they learned over time, they were our oppressors. They was like, man, Most High, okay. And they keep books and history. So they was like, all right, well, we're going to keep keeping them in to the political realm, if that makes sense. Because us getting the law, statutes, and commandments that put us above everybody, because we are the chosen. So we were what you consider the world's first politicians. You know what I'm saying? So we were, I don't like that word politician, but in a political frame, we were above everybody. So we were the kings, we were the princesses, and all this other stuff, right? So all they're doing is just reduplicating what the Most High have done. And now this is why we keep falling. Shalakia. This is why we keep falling, because that political game is kind of like it's us. It's almost like somebody who plays the piano and he keeps finding this piano in his room and there's always candy there. It's like they're allowing you to do stuff, but then you eating that candy and it's poisoning you. So as we keep getting deeper into this Republican, into this Democrat, like I said, my dad's 83, he's a Democrat till he died. He is a diehard Democrat. He don't care what Biden did. I just talked to him the other day. We was arguing about Biden and all this other stuff, talking about I'm a Trump. I'm like, I don't like Trump, you know. But anyway, but that's all he want to talk about. The Republican and Democrat. Our people are just engulfed and ingrained with the oppressors' ways. So what we keep playing the heathens game, and now we have a right wing, we have a left wing, we have radicals. You know what I'm saying? And that's not what it is. They want to be us because they ain't us. Like I always say, they want to be us because they ain't us. I mean, just imagine how they felt when they heard us out there getting these commandments, everybody shouting. There was other nations, they probably heard us from far away. And as we marching, we looking sharp, we listen all good, we got our garments on, we look sharp. Everybody wanna, because people keep thinking we were walking around in sandals and we had some dirty undergarments on and our feet stank and our women wasn't laced with perfumes and beauties and gold and stuff. You know what I'm saying? We always look good, because we're God's chosen people. We always have that swag. People need to remember that, you know. So let me get Exodus 24 verses 5 through 7. Baba Kusha.
this is the book of Exodus, chapter 24, starting at verse 5. When you have it, say, "Gun."
Done.
And he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto the Lord. And Moses, so like, let me say that. Hold on. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people. And they said, all that the Lord hath said will we do, and be obedient.
God. So again, he sent the young men, okay, children of Israel, burnt offerings, and as um as we keep putting out this word, we definitely want to wake these young men up. I'm getting old, arthritis and this and that. You know what I'm saying? No matter how much you work out, you can't move around like you're 20. You know what I'm saying? Unless you take him whatever LeBron is taking. I don't know what that brother taking. But anyway, so you know, he took the book of the covenant and read to the ordinance of the people. All right. We got the covenant, the blood covenant. I and I'm bringing out these scripts because we were given the covenant and they want us to feel bad because we made them feel bad because we only us, Israel, only us have the only living God. By Shema Mashaki, I was shot. Okay, we're the only ones that have a living God. Everybody else God is this, a straw or glass, you know what I'm saying? An elephant, an octopus, that true living God. And they hate that, you know. They are so jealous of us, it doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? And so, like we tell our people all the time, we're not supposed to be voting other people in. They're not going to help us. How you going to vote for a Polish guy to help you? He's going to help his people before he help yours. Yeah, he may let some brothers out of jail. They already did 20, 30 years. Their life is gone. Whatever they went to them 20, 30 years, they missed out on their son life. And they son, you know what I'm saying? So let me bring out real quick Deuteronomy 17 and 15, because people need to understand, like, we're not supposed to be voting for them. If there's another fellow Israelite running, that's okay. But to get caught up in the political game, it's just not going to save you. It's too many loose ends in the politic game. Let me get Deuteronomy 17 and 15, Baba Kushai.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 17 and verse 15, when you have it say,
Good.
Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother.
Con. So I understand, there was black people. I think it's like one black guy that ran for presidency. He was like a third party, wasn't one of the major parties. This country will never allow a major party, and if that's happening, then them chariots are coming. You know what I'm saying? What we have to understand is they put things in. As I play these videos, you'll see the Reconstruction of America was one of those Kansas City shuffles. They got us. We was like, oh man, and they found the right people. You know what I'm saying? They found the right people, because the right people had to be in that one pastor house. What was his name? Man, hold on, Salakia. That pastor, that one pastor named Marvin Sapp closed the doors. You know what I'm saying? That dude, he that happened like a couple years ago. Well, he found the right people. You know what I'm saying? He found the right people, because they started grooming us at a very young age. And everybody's wanting to know, but why did we sell out? Not everybody had that spirit of Nat Turner. And the brothers that did have that spirit of Nat Turner, they always had informants. Stop thinking that only the house Negroes was light skinned. Okay, just stop. Really? You think they have no light brights in the field picking cotton? Seriously? I sincerely doubt that. But let them tell it. If you wasn't light as a paper bag, you was in the field. You know what I'm saying? So, um, I get it, but that's just a stereotype that they want you to believe, and that worked because light skinned dudes, dark skinned men, they have it the worst in our community. Dark skinned guys always got a chip on their shoulder about something. Light skinned men got a chip on their shoulder, and the same as our ladies. You know what I'm saying? And we just need to stop this. We're all shades of brown. Really, bro? But then that whole slave mentality. This is how you know if we over it, why are we still talking about light skin and dark skin? It doesn't make any sense. I listened to Clarissa Shields, you know, um, the quote, you know what I'm saying? She has a story like everybody else. She was dark skinned, people picked on her. She was sexually assaulted as a kid and stuff like that. She's going through it, but now she's the champ and she's making a difference taking care of her kids and stuff. But again, I think the young lady's like 29 or 30 or something like that. I'm almost 50. And this lady is still going through that. Yes, that light skin, dark skin stuff needs to end. But slavery over, you know, yeah, it's over with. Yeah, it's over, but we still have trauma from it. It's called post-traumatic slave disorder. And we have all these curses. You know what I'm saying? Or we just messed up. We just woke up like this. They made us this way. Why? Because they want to continue to. People need to know how important that blood covenant is. And we need to understand how blessed we are as a people that have the only living God. When you think about that, you might start crying like, man, I got the only living God. Yes, you do. Yes, when you was out there living bad and stuff, you praying, yeah, he doesn't listen to the sinners, but I call it autopilot. You're on autopilot, until you wake up, to your how about you sure have a shot, till you wake up to that, you're on autopilot, but at the end of the day, he still looks out for you because he understands, you know, because our forefathers did that to us, even though that was us recycled. But hey, it is what it is. So I don't say I don't want to run my mouth too much. So again, the class is on, should we be part of this political party? So what I'm trying to go over is why we have all of these political parties, these classifications, a liberal, a radical, and all this stuff, right? It's designed to keep us in a circle because we are them people. We established this country. You know what I'm saying? Well, the Northern Kingdom established it, but we helped run it once we got here. I mean, our people built the White House for crying out loud. How can a slave that can't read or write come up with that design and dig all those tunnels in there? I mean, how? We're supposed to be dumb. The Elder Torah was putting out there that the white man was saying we got smaller brains. And Brother Shemai, Brother Shemai went ahead and just ate that all up. He went into it, he elaborated into what the elder was saying about the so-called white man and stuff, about how he always see that's a good power move. Oh, the blacks are athletic and they have this, they have that, but their brains are smaller. What? Dude, shut up. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if he was an anthropologist or something, the study of skulls. I don't know if he was an anthropologist, but Lord in Christ, these dudes, they keep coming up with stuff. The guy that came up with the races, Fermentez, whatever, the 5 different races, and the Caucasian race is the superior race, but they can't stand in the sun. They get cancer. They can't be out there for days during a potato famine. What's that say? Um, during the potato famine, they all died and stuff like that, you know? So, it is what it is. Who is this? Salam. What do you say? Oh, we got some Islam people in here, some Islam scoffers. I think he said, how can we identify? Okay, Khan. How can we identify as a Jew or something like that? Dude, shut up. And, that's another topic. But again, people, they took everything from us, and here we are collectively. We have tens of different Israelite camps pushing his word. Whether we all understand the same thing, we all need salvation. Some go a little bit too far extreme, but we kind of understand. And here at HOI, we do not camp bang. You know what I'm saying? And you got an issue with us, you call us up. If we said something, whatever, you feel offended, you can reach the elders. You can reach out to the brothers. You don't have to go on YouTube and all this other stuff. Just reach out to us. Hey, brother, I disagree. Okay, well, yeah, this is what's going on. But to sit up here and just talk about people and slander and scoff. But hey, we love that. We love it, and it comes with the territory, and you're just not going to take me off my stand. I'm going to stand at attention, as we call it. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this next video, but just to let you guys understand, it is our duty as Israelites to follow these laws, statutes, and commandments, and it's our duty to put it out to our people that we have the blood covenant. We have the only living God, and they hate that. Everybody else with all this stupid doctrine and stuff, going to fly over there to Epstein Island, bang a kid and stuff, then fly back, nowhere in the world. Because you ain't got no living God. Because you had a living God, your plane would have crashed. And all these brothers that went over there, oh yeah, they're suffering. All them brothers and sisters that was at that Epstein Island, oh, they getting there, they getting in that work. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna play this second video. It's gonna be like 2 minutes, 3 seconds. Shalakia.
Period in our history, both maligned and misunderstood.
Call it the original Great Escape. On May 13th, 1862, just over a year into the Civil War, an enslaved man named Robert Smalls, who labored on a Confederate steamer in South Carolina's Charleston Harbor, set into motion a daring plan.
He saw that the Confederate crew had left, and he knew that oftentimes they left for the evening, not to come back until the next day.
As his great-great-grandson Michael Bulwer Moore explains, for Smalls and 6 other slaves and their families, the stakes couldn't have been higher.
They knew that if they got caught, that they would be not just killed, but probably tortured in a particularly egregious and public manner.
Disguising himself in the top hat and long overcoat of a Confederate captain, Smalls piloted the ship past Fort Sumter towards the Union blockade and freedom.
It really blew people's minds because, it just was beyond what people thought an enslaved person could do.
Not every great story has to become a movie, but come on.
There's so many twists and turns in the story that would be just amazing.
Let me guess, you're thinking about going to therapy. And as a therapist myself, of course I'm going to say that's a great idea. But first,
Shalakia.
And how about this for a second act? After returning home to Beaufort, South Carolina, Robert Smalls was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, one of more than a dozen African Americans to serve in Congress during the period known as Reconstruction, when the formerly rebel states were reabsorbed into the Union and 4 million newly freed African Americans were made citizens.
It was a time of unparalleled hope.
Harvard professor Henry Louis Gates has
Con, I'm gonna continue that. I'm gonna stop it right there. So we saw that, right? You know, the brother Smalls. You guys don't keep up with the history and stuff. Um, you know, I'm gonna do a class on it on the reconstruction. I think that's important. It'll probably be about 2 hours, and I'm gonna try to give you guys all the lickies and chewies that you need to get that, because the reconstruction of America is very, very important to understand what they was doing to set us up. How you elect all those people in the Congress and the Senate. Like, so when the war ended, right, 1865 and all that stuff, 1865, December 12th, KKK was started. Imagine that. Them boys wasn't playing. KKK started 1865, I believe, December 12th in Tennessee. All right. So it was from 1865 to 1870. They was electing all these different black people. We had the first black mayor in like 1869 or something like that in Louisiana. Um, and then the next black mayor, I believe, that was the first black mayor. But the next black mayor was like, if I'm not mistaken, was in the 80s or 70s. That's crazy. That's insane. So that's what you call, you know, a Kansas City shuffle. But let me get the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12, verse 10, because this is the problem. We was already indoctrinated, we was already propagandized, and we was always Christianized. You know what I'm saying? And so we didn't have, of course, we didn't have the Apocrypha, and we didn't even have the full Bible. We had the slave Bible. So let's get the book of Ecclesiasticus, the book of Sirach, chapter 12, verse 10. Baba Kusha.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 12 and verse 10. When you have it, say, Come.
Kun.
Come, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness.
Kun. Like iron rusted. Let me tell you real quick. So I was in Kuwait, right? And it was like 2002. So we know we're going to war, right? And we had to drink our water outside, or we had to brush our teeth. You know, they had the sink and stuff, and they had to shower like outside, right? And so uh we wasn't allowed to brush our teeth with the sink water, but I was like, man, I'm gonna do it. I'm tough. So everybody used to look at me. So I was doing this for like a month. I was being lazy. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't want to put no, you know, open a bottle of water and pour them. I ain't want to do all that. So I'm out there, and then my gums started hurting. I was like, man, it was bleeding and stuff. I'm like, what's going on? My buddy was like, bro, it's rust all in the water, dummy. I was like, what? It was rust all in that water. So I'm brushing my teeth forever. So never trust thine enemy. For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. That rust is really bad for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm surprised I got all my teeth. You know? So that is a very profound scripture. That's one of our classics. Never trust thine enemy. Oh man, you know, I was with this white boy, and you know, we was cool, and we went to Sunday school together. You know, he was in Catholic school. He took up for me. You know, he gave me money when I ain't have none. You know, his mom and them used to let me eat over there and stuff. And then the next thing you know, you come up missing. You know what I'm saying? So it everybody has their walk of life. I don't know if some of us on here ever had, you know, Esau as a buddy, as a friend, as a relationship, whatever, but you probably can attest that they was kind of off, especially the parents. So you're a little one, you 12, 10 years old, you go over their house, they always watching you. Next thing you know, you can't come over because they think you done stole something. You know what I'm saying? So never trust thine enemy. Just giving some lively examples, because everybody has to work with Esau for the most part. You know what I'm saying? And even these Jewish people. So well, they are Esau too. So if you have to work with Esau, you tolerate them the same way they tolerate you or tolerate you. You know, most of them use the N word way more than you do. So never trust thine enemy, for like iron rusteth, so is this wickedness. So when I told you I was brushing my teeth with this iron, it didn't hit me until like a month later. Iron rusted. So eventually they're going to affect you. All right. And again, the problem with our people is dogma. We call it Christian dogma, right? So, dogma, something, the definition of it, something held as an established opinion. What is an opinion? An opinion is something like, for instance, I never played what's that sport called? Lacrosse. But I mean, it looks pretty tough from what I can tell. It's a lot of running, right? So an opinion is you get some understanding of something that you really have no full understanding or a knowledge of it, and you give your opinion. Okay. So dogma, something held as an established opinion. I don't even know what that means. Established opinion, whatever. An established opinion. A definite authoritative tenet, okay? Point of view or tenet put forth as authoritative without adequate grounds. That's perfect. So it's a point of view. That's Christianity. And listen to you, Christians. We're not really we're not on here to pounce you, but y'all got to admit, Christianity, it doesn't make no sense. Y'all say y'all have 10 commandments, but y'all don't follow them. Then you say we follow the commandments of Jesus. Well, what commandments does Jesus say to do? Oh, we love everybody. So what is love? He's just going to leave you out there like dogma? Okay, that's why we call it Christian dogma. Something held as an established opinion. It makes no sense. A definite authoritative tenet. It doesn't make no sense. The math ain't mathing. You know what I mean? And like it says right here, here's the religious definition. A doctrine or body of doctrines concerning faith or morals formally stated and authoritatively proclaimed by a church. See, I'm telling you, in these last days, AI is going to tell it all. It just basically said, look, the church just put something out there, some doctrine of doctrine, and look, it's going to stick. This is why nobody understands Paul's letters. You know what I'm saying? He wrote specifically to cities. Study it. Look up the Hebrew. Get the Strong's. But everybody keep coming up with all this dogma. This is why you have Christianity, the different Methodists, Baptists, this and that, right? Even though they're losing members because they're starting to know that they whack, and everybody's starting to understand that Christianity is stupid, you know? And well, I can't say stupid. I don't want to offend no Christians, but at the same time, Christians, y'all gotta admit, y'all believe Mary was a virgin and Howard came down and had sex with her. Like, stop playing. Joseph just standing around waiting. I mean, come on, y'all. The Immaculate Conception, it doesn't make any sense. As you say something to somebody, well, color doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? You got your pastor saying, close the door. Like, you got all this stuff going on. Eddie Long banging all the kids, dying of AIDS. They say he didn't die of AIDS. You got what's the one dude name? Not Creflo, but the one that was going to the Diddy parties. What's his name? Can't think of it. But you got all these different things going on. And hold on, my camera on?
You talking about TD Jakes, huh?
Yeah. TD Jakes. Shalakia. TD Jakes. He going to Diddy parties, licking his lips, looking at some male cop dancer, looking all like a fruit booty, you know, like they say in the movie Night at the Roxbury. I ain't no butt pirate. I love the ladies. Well, TD Jakes, bro, you look pretty sweet on that. Like you was at them bit. You was definitely participating in them Diddy parties. And what are you doing at a Diddy party? Anyway, so my thing is, all this stuff that's going on, we get wrapped up, you know. Um, you got Kirk Franklin talking about because they was at the BET Awards. Why wasn't he laughing? And he came out and said on the Breakfast Club, well, I didn't want to laugh because I didn't want people to think that I think what Kevin Hart is doing. Listen, bro, seriously, you were hooked on pornography, okay? You was a porn head. What do you mean you didn't want to laugh? You came out and admitted you was hooked on that, bro. So that's worse. I mean, I would rather you laugh at some Kevin Hart jokes than being somebody who has a pornography problem. Like, seriously? He probably had like 5 terabytes of porn. Google it. This is what, he was hooked on that stuff. So I don't know. He had to go to some type of porn class or something. I don't know. But, you laughing at a joke. That's the thing with Christians. Oh, you guys can't drink. But half of y'all smoke cigarettes. You know what I'm saying? And the doctrine of Christianity is just it's dogma. So again, they're slowly breaking us down, taking us over from the west coast of Africa on slave ships, giving us indoctrinations, turning us against each other, light skin, dark skin. Then they give us some religion, a slave Bible. Then they tried to turn us against Gad, try to turn us against the Northern Kingdom. They're trying to turn the Mexicans against us. They've been trying to do that forever. Why only the Mexicans? There's so many different Latino, so-called Latino Hispanic people. Why y'all want to turn us against the Mexicans? Why not the Ecuadorians, the Bolivians? Why like this is so stupid. Then they turn the Mexicans against the Mexicans, and I don't know, they have different names and stuff. I ain't gonna say it on here, but if you from the West Coast and stuff like that, you know the different names. So again, dogma, that is a very tough word. Okay. So something held as an established opinion. That's all it is, you know? And they're always trying to judge why are pastors into politics? And you're gonna see in my last video, about why. Okay. So I just wanted to stop it there for a minute. It's another one, I got another minute, okay, to play. Salakia. You started back up.
Produced a new documentary about Reconstruction, airing this month on PBS.
When you look at the radical, amazing changes that happened within a few years of the demise of slavery, there was a kind of irrational exuberance.
Gates says Reconstruction is one of the most misunderstood chapters in American history.
Black men could vote, and they were about to elect congressmen to represent them throughout the South.
I mean, you go and you ask people on the street who the first Black person was elected to the US Congress, they're going to guess it's the 1960s, the 1970s.
And they would never guess it was Hiram Revels from Mississippi.
Hiram Rhodes Revels was born free and served as a chaplain to Black regiments during the Civil War. On February 25th, 1870, he was sworn in as a senator from Mississippi, an office once held by Jefferson Davis, who left the Senate to become president of the Confederacy. Is this a big national moment?
Oh, it's a historic moment, and it's memorialized in the fic.
Coonan at his finest. So you guys heard that, right? He served as a chaplain. We all know on here what a chaplain is. I was thinking about being a chaplain assistant. I know, right? Whew. I was thinking about it. Not when I first joined, but actually I think yeah, because I had this one chaplain, he always used to talk to me all the time. He's a major. And then as I stayed in there, I was like, man, I should do this because I love religion. I love the study of religion, theology, and stuff. So I was thinking about it. But anyway, so a chaplain assistant is a man of God. Okay. So he served as a chaplain assistant. That's funny. Imagine that. So what that means is he was one of them, what? He was one of them slave preachers. He was going around, close the door. That was him. You know what I'm saying? Little girls getting raped, but little boys getting raped. women getting beat up, men getting beat up, castrated, all this other stuff. He holding church service, talking about close the door. Then all of a sudden, but he getting groomed. And this is what they do. They take certain brothers and they groom you. Man, you're not like the rest of them. Hey, listen, didn't I take care of you? When Master said, you gonna pay for that because you stole that cheese from the store, didn't I take care of you, boy? And this is the stuff that they do. I don't know if they talk like that. They always say we talk like that. But anyway, yeah, no folly. But they will groom you to what they want you to be, and you will take that, and then you'll turn your head the other way. And this brother know darn well he should not be good. Bro, it's nothing but white people. What you think was gonna happen? You was the token black, and they've been doing it for a long time. This is what they did. Okay, now this is my opinion, but I put those little facts in there. It's my opinion that they groomed these brothers. They took a selected few because they knew the end was coming. Listen, 1855 to 1865, they knew that Civil War was coming. It was brewing. We knew. I joined the Army in 1997, right? Everybody who went to the Gulf War back in 91, 92 knew eventually we have to go back in Iraq because Saddam was acting a fool. Bill Clinton used to bomb him every year with those what are those things called on the Navy ships? The Tomahawk missiles? No, the cruise missiles. One cruise missile is $1 million. Man, he used to flood Iraq with that stuff. Just shooting it every month, every year. He's shooting 100 freaking cruise missiles. That's $100 million. I think they about $1 million, something like that. And he was shooting. My brother was in the Navy. He was always going over there shooting stuff over there in Iraq and the Middle East. You know what I'm saying? So we knew for about 10 years we were going to have to go to Iraq. What I do? Join the Army. What a dummy. So anyway, I joined up. That's the thing, right? It says U.S. Army. And if you read it backwards, yes, my retarded A signed up. So yeah, I didn't know that. I wish I would have knew that before I joined. But anyway, this. So you think they didn't know that this was coming, this Civil War was coming? They knew it was coming, and so they started grooming certain people, especially after 1831, right? They started grooming certain people to be like, all right, listen, because it was more of us. It wasn't more of them. And Gad, the Northern Kingdom was everywhere, especially Gad and Reuben. They was all over the place. Issachar, you know what I'm saying? They still didn't fully. I mean, they had the United States, but it was still some stuff going on, still some wars and fights going on. You know what I mean? And so that's why we want people to study this history. So like he said, um, they was hiring all these black people and stuff like that, getting them to do stuff. They try to do the same thing to some of our elders. Let me get Second Maccabees. Listen, it's the same people. They just giving them different names. Let me get Second Maccabees chapter 6, verses 18 through 20. Baba Kushar. Oh yeah, and before you do that, Shalakia, I forgot to read my little script. So see, the Reconstruction part was a setup of a Kansas City Shuffle. So Kansas City Shuffle is, everybody go left, but the play is right. All right. So they found blacks who would sell themselves short for a job, and they more likely was being groomed from the start. But again, Willie Lynch letters, Christianity played a big part. And remember Nat Turner, like I said earlier, in 1831, when blacks turned up. So, we was hyped for a while, just like the whole thing that took place in Rodney King, George Floyd, everybody turned up, right? And then it just died down. Right now, if you turn on YouTube, every Negro in America is on there fighting, talking about football. When does sports become so important in our community? I mean, we all talk sports and stuff, but I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm a Kobe fan, but the brother's dead. Y'all got this man all through. Like, he got kids. They don't want to see that. I mean, it's just so much stuff that's going on. If you look in the social media, right, they got all this stuff that's going on. It's all black people. DL Hughley, this person, Michael Jamal Warner. I don't know how the brother died. I don't know, he's like the 10th brother that died in Costa Rica. Costa Rica is killing everybody. You know, did he get murdered? Did he drown? Why they didn't tell us a whole 24 hours later after he died? I think he died on Saturday or something. And they told us on Monday or something like that. Then what's his name? The white boy just died. Ozzy Osbourne. I think he the one that bit the bat. Which I don't know how that man lived. He did every drug known to man. But he lived to be 76. So you know, RIP to Michael, because brother was only 54 years old. He did a lot of things. I didn't know he was a producer and he loved music and stuff like that. I didn't know that. He was a big part of hip hop culture. He did a lot of videos and stuff, you know. So I wish we would have gave him his flowers before he died. But anyway, as I was saying, during this reconstruction period, they had a lot of coons, a lot of okay, I'll do it, come out. So let's get and some of the brothers, they should have resisted. They should have saw it coming a long time ago. So let me get Second Maccabees chapter 6, verse 18 through 20. Barbecue shot.
This is the book of Maccabees, chapter 6, starting at verse 18. When you have it, say, Con.
Con.
Eleazar, one of the principal scribes, an aged man, and of a well favored countenance, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine flesh. But he choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with such an abomination, spit it forth, and came of his own accord to the torment, as it behooved them to come that are resolute to stand out against such things as are not lawful for love of life to be tasted.
Con. So Eleazar, you know what I'm saying? Good looking guy, favorite. Everybody love him. You know what I'm saying? He was the man. And they wanted this brother to eat some swine flesh so everybody could see him. So he's like, no, I ain't what? Man, y'all better go ahead with that. You know what I'm saying? That's what our people have to do, you know. Um, but as you can see the story, he was an aged man. Now, Eleazar was 9, 6 years old. They have a way of doing things. And this is what Esau, he reads this book, guys, ladies. He reads this book. All right. Everybody can read this book. But this book is about us. So it shows our strengths and it shows our weaknesses. People keep thinking, you got to stop reading this book like a Christian. Just open it up and read the scripture. Oh, that's me. All praises. Nah, man, get out of here with that. You got to understand it. Why did it say that? You know? So the reason why I brought this scripture up is because of, the Reconstruction, all of those men, nobody knew about those men. I found out about them years ago, about them whole, how they did the Reconstruction. They did it dirty, feminists started, all this other stuff. That one lady you saw in the picture, they had our black women in the church. I don't think people hear me. They had sisters in the church preaching. Okay. They had y'all in there. That's why they had the slave Bible. So this has been passed down and passed down and passed down. They made the black woman Big Mama. She was the head of the church. The Menangle man, he was just, doing his thing, making babies, right? Going from plantation to plantation, and they was able to do that. Everybody looked up to the Menangle. Kind of like when we back in the neighborhood, we back on the block, and it's that, that boy like, oh, that's such and such. Oh, that's Tyrone. Oh man, he got all the girls. No, man, he fly, he got the nice car. Yo, what's up, T? Yo, what's going on? That's how we were. Only thing is we wasn't picking cotton. They listen, it's very easy. This is why we tell you guys, you guys got kids at home. It's all about, to me, I call it acting. Because I mean, it's my son, it's my daughter. I can't be too crazy with it. I can't be talking about certain things around my children because they're going to pick that up. And why am I not going to talk about certain things? Well, because they're sponges. I don't know if any of your kids went to school and cursed, you know, gosh darn it, French toast, Emma Effer, all this stuff, what is it, HE double hockey stick, all these different words that people use, right? All these vulgar words that people use, these kids pick it up, they're sponges. I remember my teacher told my health teacher, he said one time he had a headache and his son went to the refrigerator and grabbed him a beer and said, "Here, daddy, this makes you feel good." And his son was like 4. I was like, man, okay. I remember that. I was like 14, 15 years old, and my health teacher, he was kicking science. That's when you're like your wood teacher used to go smoke weed with all the students. I never smoked weed. I didn't do drugs. No, I'm playing. But no, I ain't smoke weed. But a lot of my friends did. They would smoke weed with the woodshop teacher. The woodshop teacher and the gym teachers, man, they were something else coming up. They were just, they didn't care. They was just like, I don't know, happy to have a job or something. But anyway, a lot of people will look at certain situations and say, well, this is this, and that's the Bible. No, it's telling you that was an aged man. So Esau is like, all right, well, how can we figure this out? This is an aged dude. They changed the game. So during slavery, between the ages of 9 and 15, those are the ages of I'm going to change you. Those are those ages, even though we say by the time you're 9, whatever, but you seeing everybody get beat up, you smelling blood all day, y'all all sleeping in the cabin on the floor. You know what I'm saying? Then you got this person who's kind of living good. Like, why he getting meat? But you didn't know this brother was the informant. The informant started in slavery. I mean, it been started, but they solidified that. Right now, there's probably 100 informants in every city. And if you out there in the streets, brothers, and you trying to come into this truth, you look to your left and your right, one of your boys is an informant. All right? I ain't trying to cause no fights and stuff, but, you got to prove your friend. I ain't say make them go rob a store, but you got to vet who you got around in your crew. You got to vet who is your friend because that person could be doing you wrong. He can just friend you, he can set you up. I had a guy who set somebody up. He was a young boy. This dude was an old head. We thought he was never going to get out of jail. He got out of jail and he set one of the young boys up. Dude got like 5 years. You know, he set him up for one. I think it was a couple birds. But the bottom line is like, first of all, you shouldn't even be dealing with that drug stuff. Okay, you should be trying to get yourself a job. You ain't got to go to college. Get yourself a trade. Be a plumber. You know what I'm saying? Plumbers make loot. You know what I'm saying? Drive trucks. Don't go robbing people. But that somebody gonna get you, especially you live in Atlanta. Everybody got a gun. You know what I'm saying? And no, don't become a pastor. No, don't do that. But again, this scripture is very powerful. So it shows you the aged man was like, "No, I'm not doing that. I'm standing on my own. I follow the law. Say, I'm not eating that. Get out of here, man. What's wrong with you?" Right? That's what them brothers should have did. So just crazy. So let me get the last, it's the last video, okay, guys? It's only like a minute long, but this just talks about um the Reconstruction a little bit. And again, it has everything to do with the political parties. You guys got to stop misunderstanding that Republican and Democrat, it was, it means anything. It was been started. I can probably go past the Greeks and all this other stuff, but I'm gonna try to keep it just staying with the Greeks and the Roman captivity because they did this. When you watch those movies and stuff, Gladiator, they're talking about the Democrats. They're talking about Republicans, but they're not. They say Democrat all the time, but it just wasn't using Republican. Okay, it was something different. It means a commonwealth. So all they do is just, they put words on things. Like for instance, the phraseology, the phrase conspiracy theory. A conspiracy theory, that word, they say it dates back. I looked it up, but it really came about during the whole Kennedy thing. They didn't want nobody in America to know that this man was killed by the Italian mafia. And this is why the so-called white man destroyed the Italian mafia. They destroyed them because they had everything to do with that man being killed. So the government was like, "Oh, y'all think y'all the government?" Because they let them roam down there in Cuba. That was that whole missile crisis stuff. Do some homework, the Cuban missile stuff. Guess who was running Cuba? Yeah, the Italians. The Italians was out of control. They thought they was back in Rome. They thought they was the Roman Empire. They was everywhere. Castro was like, I gotta get these, I gotta get them out of here. And guess what Castro nationality is? He's Italian. His father is. All right. That's some other homework. So again, it's like, why he let Italians in? That's his people. But they started bogarting. Man, especially us people that's up north, New York, Jersey, Philly, we know how them Italians be, boy. We don't even call them white, we call them Italians. They on some other stuff, you know. But anyway, so yeah, yeah, they the whole Cuban Missile Crisis and stuff like that, they asked Russia to help out because they was like they want to get the mafia up out of there. And when that whole thing happened with Kennedy, the government, where you think Rico came from, all right, they destroyed the Italian mafia. If it wasn't for that, they probably still would have got rid of him. But they was just doing too much. They was like, all right, we got to shut them down. We run America, not y'all. And they shut them down. And my thing is, guys, if they shut down the Italian mafia, like, stop playing with me. There's no black mafia. They ain't gonna let that happen. They shut them down. All right, I'm sorry, Shalakia. Let me get this last video for you guys. Hopefully this is informative and everything. So again, the topic was, do Israelites identify with any political party? Okay, Republican, Democrat, third party. What's the other one? Because it's so many of them. You have the republicanism, publicism, separatism. So the separatism is the advocacy of culture, ethnic, tribal, religious. Fascism, that was during the whole Hitler stuff, right? So that was basically what they call far right. You're authoritarian, basically a dictatorship, right? Then you have socialism, right? Which is economic, political, philosophy. You got all this stupid stuff. Like what the political ideologies is just crazy. So it's confusion, and the Most High is not the art of confusion. And that's why Christianity plays a big part in this political game, is because not just because our black pastors are a Democrat, they kind of force it on you. It's almost like in that movie Golden Child, when he tried to feed him the oatmeal and then he pressed down on it and all that blood came out. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to do that whole Kansas City shuffle. All right. So let me get this last video for y'all. Shalakia. Look, finally found a video with a brother. Imagine that.
One thing that can be really exhausting about the US, and it's not as bad as it seems in the media and social media, right? Most Americans are still normal and they're just living their lives and whatever. But the political and sociocultural climate is a lot hotter there. there is more polarization, there is more division. It does feel a bit more unpredictable, and people are at each other's throats because of left and right, or black versus white, or red versus blue, or whatever it is. There are still, those fault lines are very present, and they're constantly being exploited and widened by a lot of bad actors. And I feel that when I'm in the nation, I do feel a bit of a cloud over me, where there's just that constant thing. And when it's hard to explain, but when I come somewhere like the UAE, it's just lifted. It switches off. Even if I go to the UK, it's greatly diminished, right? The UK political, social climate, it's not as aggressive, not as polarized. It exists, but it's not as aggressive as it is in the US with, the left versus the right and this and this, and everything is just so politicized. It's like a team sport, and that's just very ingrained in many people. So I like that as well. I like the fact that when I'm here, I just don't even, I mean, if I think about it at all, it's thinking about stuff that's happening back over in those countries. Yeah, right. I like the fact that, cool, I can just think of all the other things I need to focus on. My bit.
Con. So he said something, that was very important, that America is very confusing. In the UK, have you guys been to the UK? Been over there, white people with messed up teeth. That's the only difference. Europe and the UK, all their teeth all jacked up. And they be drowning all them French fries in mayonnaise. Jesus Christ. But anyway, so what he's talking about is the prophecies, okay? About all the confusion, all of this, all of that, all these different things that's supposed to take place. It's like everything is how it's supposed to be. Everything is how it's supposed to be. This is spiritual Babylon, Sodom and Gomorrah. All right. So everything is where it's supposed to be. All of this confusion, all this gay, all this, all this, that. Um, it's supposed to be like that, but I can honestly see that we're slowly getting it. You can see people coming together. You can see communities. We got black banks, all this other stuff, and everybody trying to put this here. You got this here. You got this here. Um, and there's a lot of moving parts, right? But the Most High, He has that master plan. Okay, so again, I think what really brings us to, I guess, a crossroads is this right here: racism. What is racism? All right. First definition: prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism by an individual, community, or institution against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized, right? Second definition: the belief that different races possess distinct characteristics, which that used to be the first definition, but they changed it. See, welcome to America. The belief that different races possess distinct characteristics, abilities, or qualities, especially so as to distinguish them as inferior, superior to one another. Let me get the classic Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6, Baba Kusha.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 6. When you have it, say, come.
Come.
For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of earth.
So you understand that? So we are above everyone that's on the face of this earth. And the white man is just the devil that the Bible speaks of. He come up with this word racism. And whenever he wants to, he always try to start this race war. This man has been trying to start a race war forever. Look here, Esau, it's not going to work, dude. It's going to go down when it needs to go down. not on your accord. You're not the you're just there's a saying, I can't say it. You know what I'm saying? But you're just holding the tail, bro. That's it. You're not doing nothing else. So you keep trying to implement your ways. You're trying to say that there's UFOs and all this different stuff this man's trying to do. And he's trying to sideswipe us. We are God's chosen people. We are the holy people. We set apart. Okay. So what the brother was just talking about was all the confusion and all this other stuff. And he's sitting there talking to Esau. That's confusion in itself. So what we're trying to tell you guys is, see, the more you hang around Esau, you'll start to pick up certain characteristics. You'll start to be nonchalant. You'll start to be like, oh, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like when all that stuff happened to Katrina, I was different. I was a different dude back then. I was like, man, whatever. And me and this one guy, he was ready to fight me because his family was like, they had, got all messed up. And I was like, well, didn't y'all know that the flood was going to happen? Why didn't they just leave? I didn't know nothing about the levees and all this other stuff. I didn't know they sent them boys down there to blow that stuff up. And then Blackwater went down there and killed like 10,000 black people. At that time, I didn't know it. I found out about it when I was in the army, but I was like, man, it is what it is. And when you were around them, you start to get, I wouldn't say lackadaisical. You start to, it starts to numb you. You know what I'm saying? It's like seeing something over and over again, right? All of a sudden you lose feeling, right? And that's what Esau does. Everything to him is repetition because he knows how the mind works, right? So, with that being said, I just wanted to bring that scripture out because we set apart. But then they want to keep telling us it's racism. Listen, we don't get along with Esau. That's it. He has a perpetual hatred against his brother. None of them were slave masters. Yes, 200 years ago, we understand regeneration, right? Most of them don't. Some of them do. But none of them were slave masters. None of them was part of the revolts. None of them was part of uprisings. None of them saw Nat Turner. None of them was part of the lynchings. Well, hold up. The last lynch was like nine. Point is, how are they still holding on to that? This racism. They have a perpetual hatred towards us. Understand that, sisters. When you marry them, y'all saw the video, the white man and the black girl, they were both in the military. And I don't know why she turned her back, and they were arguing and stuff. She went upstairs. Looked like she went upstairs to get the gun. But then he ran right behind her. And next thing you know, he popped her right there in front of their kids. And she died and all that other stuff. And now he's trying to act like it was self-defense or whatever. Listen, they have no remorse for you. Has so-called black men killed black women in the crime of passion or in relationships? Yes, but we can deal with that because that's of our nation. Okay, that's in house. But another man, an East Indian, a Polish man, a Japanese man, coming in to my living room, taking my daughter and killing her. Are you crazy? That's an act of war. But we don't understand that. And as you continue to become that strong, diligent Israelite, yes, brothers and sisters, that's an act of war. Now, do that mean go to the gun shop, go to the academy, sports academy, and go load up? Because Brother Hashar was like, that's an act of war. Come on now, use wisdom. Okay. Catch them in the parking lot at Walgreens. No, I'm playing. But you got to just use discernment and wisdom. Okay. So we're not telling you it's going to be a time for that. All right. Right now we're fishing. Okay. So no fouling. We're fishing. We're not hunting right now. So I just want to bring out Isaiah 14, Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1 through 3, because we need to understand. He's like, oh, America is kind of confusing. They got this going on. They got the race. They got this. Yes, it's going to have you chasing your tail. This is why Israelites should not identify with these political parties. because you're going to be chasing your tail. You know what I'm saying? As soon as I be like, yeah, man, I like an honest cracker. Oh, so you a Republican? Nah, I was just saying I'd rather the white guy be honest. Yo, so you like Trump? Nah, I didn't say I like Trump, I just so you got a MAGA tattoo? Dudes be getting hyped, like calm down with this MAGA stuff. Look, man, nobody said Trump was the great white hype. Okay. He is not my leader. Okay. He's the leader of this country. He is not my leader. All right. He is not your leader. We have one commander in chief. All right. That's Yahweh Shem Mashak Yahweh. That's it. All right. So understand that. And he sent his only begotten son to come down here to save us. So we need to understand that who the world English calls Jesus Christ. All right. Yahweh. So we need to get off of this understanding that every time somebody says something like I rather this, I rather that, we're not subscribing to no political parties. I'm I ain't been an Israelite that long, but in the years of me um studying since 2016, I've never heard a brother say, yeah, man, I'm a conservative. Yeah, I'm a liberal Israelite. Oh, okay. Yeah, man, I'm a left-wing Israelite. Oh, okay. Yeah, been in the truth like 5 years, but I'm still a Republican. Never heard it. I don't know. Some other brothers may have heard it. I never heard it. Okay. So again, what we were trying to do is come to you guys. Do Israelites identify with any political parties? So let's get Isaiah 14. Let's get the classic 14 and 1 through 3. Baba Kushan.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, starting at verse 1. When you have it, say Khan.
Go to 1 to 4. So like it 1 to 4.
Khan, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the
Okay.
house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord,
Salakia. The house of Israel, what?
shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
Salakia. So we're gonna get our lick back. We're definitely getting our lick back. All right. And this is the process we got to go through. It's just not going to be a run in the park, everyone. We're not just going to get on the chariots and that's it. The rebels die and we're going to, it's going to be a lot of work. We got to do a lot of work. Oh, Con, go ahead.
It shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve, Salakia, that thou
Con,
shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor seized the golden city seized?
Con. So that's letting you know we're going, hold on. Let me bring up Clubhouse again. Okay. So, in a nutshell, that's what's going to happen. All right. From our hard bondage, from waking up in fear, every time a cop get behind you, you clench up. What they say, you clench up, and if it's everything is tight on you. You know, um, you move in the neighborhood, and you got nothing but white neighbors. You left your key. You're nervous, like, oh man, I left my key. Here they come. Boo. Sir, put your hands on the car. You're like, oh my God. Every neighbor out there know that you live there. Every neighbor knows that you live there. So from living in that fear, that sorrow, hopefully none of you ever got, family members shot down. If so, You have my condolences and stuff like that. They got shot down from the oppressor, because typically one of us is going to get us. But if it happens from another nation, it's hard either way. But it's really hard when they do it. It's just like, bro, and it's always the most cowardly way. You know, it's the most cowardice, and these black cops are doing the same thing. Dude was wrestling this black guy the other day. They was wrestling and stuff, and he got mad. You can see the frustration. He got mad. The black guy was about to hop the fence, and then he went back. He's like, "I'm gonna get my bag," and he tried to get his bag. The cop was all out of shape and fat, and he just, man, you know, and ain't nothing gonna happen to him, you know, and it's just crazy. So to have that sorrow, some of us, we've been traumatized because it's passed down from our father, and sometimes from your mom, depending on, what she went through, that fear. In this country, we have a fear, especially being a so-called black man. It's horrible. But you know what? As long as you under these laws, statutes, commandments, we don't have no fear. That's why we're trying to get you brothers in Christianity and you brothers to understand. Now, there's fear, then there's cockiness. Okay. Now, if you don't have that fear, you don't have to be cocky with these police officers. Okay. Ain't nobody say, just normal. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But at the end of the day, have some decorum. Okay. Put your hands on the wheel. I know it's degrading, but we have to do it. You want to see your family? He don't have no problem in shooting you, bro. He see our people running around here with grills and happy, you know, basketball players getting $100 million. Man, they hate that. You think they don't hate that? These basketball players, these dudes are so spoiled now. They're not even practicing. They paying the owner's money to stop practicing. This is why they all falling apart and getting hurt all the time. Yeah, look that up. So again, we're getting our look back. We're getting our look back. And the king of Babylon is going to fall. The oppression has ceased, you know. So we're slowly, slowly feeling our foot or their foot coming off the back of our neck. Okay. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and yet choose Israel. Not them over there. Not them, Mr. Ted Cruz, Senator Ted Cruz, talking about we need to fight for Israel. What? Bruh. Because the Bible says so. Even Tucker was like, Tucker Carlson, he was like, what? We need to fight for Israel. Hold up. You mean the government of Israel? Yeah, Benjamin, Netanyahu, whatever. That dude's crazy. He's something else. He is definitely a killer. So, this World War III, let's just hope this thing kick off. Let's get this race war over with. Everybody need to go ahead and, get armed and, what I mean by armed, get trained up, be tactical, no self-defense. The front line is, at the end of the day, is always Yahweh Shem Mashiach Yahushua, but you need to arm yourself. You need to be aware. You get these women, y'all need to get that bear spray. That bear spray is something else. Now, ladies, don't spray it if the guy is getting in your car, because you got to get in your car. You know what I'm saying? Pepper spray. And for fellas too, don't spray the spray at where you're going to go, because you're going to choke. So spray it away from where you're going and, just go. So everybody need to have that bear spray. I don't know how often you need to change that out. That bear spray is something else. Whew. Pepper spray, make sure you hold it away. Ladies, get them 25s. In the house, you need to have that 40 or that 45, because those things are loud and everybody will run. I'll get up and run and I'm in the house. That's called cacao. That thing's really loud. Make sure you hold it with two hands. And also, if you go buy weapons and stuff, just make sure you go to the range and shoot that thing. It has a little kick. Okay, it has a little kick. You don't want to break your nose and stuff like that. And everybody need to get a shotgun. But anyway, so, because the pellets go out. You get nervous. You see somebody in your house moving around. Make sure you have light. Could be that side dude. No, I'm playing. No fouling. But just make sure you get with the brothers, you get with some of these sisters. You guys learn, self-defense and arming yourself. These days are getting crazy. People are getting wilder. You see it every day. And you know, stay out of them churches. You know, um, these holidays are coming up. What we got coming up? We got Labor Day, and stuff like that. So back to school, get your kids the new kicks, new book bag and stuff. So again, I wanted to give this class, Israelites identify with any political parties. Hopefully you guys have some knowledge on what a Republican is, what a Democrat is. So basically they switch places. So the Democrats, the liberals, and the Republicans, the conservative. And that's basically it. You know what I'm saying? Um, Again, if you want change, you got potholes, the rent's high. Remember, you can go to your local um, government, the mayor, change. That's the places you go, not HOA. Those are places you go. And let me know if I'm wrong. Shemaya, the local voting is where you go to, get like little speed bumps and they rent on they talk about what the rent's going to be in the neighborhoods, like for different apartments and stuff like that, for complexes and stuff. So it's okay to get involved in that. If any of the elders or any senior men, let me know if I'm wrong, but it's okay to get involved with the local stuff because that stuff really does help. Um, you want to get your kid to a better school. Your son want to be an engineer. He's a straight A student, but there's no, good program, So it's good. We're not saying don't. What we're saying is don't get, I guess, politicized. Don't turn into that politician. It's toxic. Use it wisely. So the local is okay, but when we're talking about presidency, the governor, no. But the people that's in your area, in your state, correction, in your town and city, it's okay to go out there and do certain things. You know what I'm saying? If you was involved in the local government, you would have saw gentrification coming. You would have saw it because people go there and they start voting on stuff. You go to certain educational meetings and stuff, right? You would have saw that they was taking slave out of the textbook and putting immigrant worker. Remember, all school books come from Texas. They make them there. It's a company there that makes them. And once Texas curriculum changed, all the United States curriculum changed. Yeah. So I think that came out like 2014, 2015, when they took slave out of the textbook and they're going to put immigrant worker. Okay. So all praises. I hope everybody enjoyed the class. So the class was on, do Israelites identify with any political parties? We covered what Republican, Democrats is, liberals, conservatives, left wing, right wing, socialism, all these different things, right? And what did we learn? This is what we learned. For God, 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 33. For God is not the author of confusion. Stop playing with me. If he would have gave us the 613 commandments and para A, para B, para C, man, ain't no way it would have been if we keep that. It's either yes or no. Okay. So again, hope you guys enjoyed the class. Thanks for tuning in. And hopefully we have another powerful class for you guys next week. Let me get the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verses 13 through 14, Baba Kisha.
You want it in English or Paleo Hebrew?
No, Ecclesiastes, verses 12.
Ecclesiastes.
Yeah, Con.
This is the book of Sirach. Oh no, my bad. Ecclesiastes. I got tired.
It's all good.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse what?
And verse chapter 12, verses 13 through 14, Baba Kushai.
Uh, when you have it, say Khan.
Con.
Khan, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Con. So again, brothers and sisters, keep the commandments. He sees everything that you do. Okay. You have two angels. You have your recorder, you have your guardian. And you have other angels in there watching. The Most High, he has his people everywhere. Where do you think they get the CIA, FBI, all that stuff? It all started because of us, but they're trying to duplicate us, but they're trying to do it here on earth, because they don't have no living God and they don't worship nothing. At home, at night, they cry to themselves, wishing they was us. Believe you me, they wish they was us. So even though right now it seems like the Esau is winning, nah, he ain't winning. Mm-mm. He can't fill that void. Can't fill that void. So just like with us, we couldn't fill that void because we was filling it with drugs, alcohol, women, men, uh, um, sports, Christianity, all that stuff. And it just wasn't filling us up. So again, he knows your secret places, okay? And fear the most high and follow the statutes and commandments. Um, God. So let's go ahead and face the east. And brother, you gonna do the Paleo Hebrew for me?
Uh,
All right, so everybody face the east. Again, that is where in the morning the sun comes up. To face the east, just get it in.
Abanawa, Sabasamayim, Kodash, Haya, Sabka, Yahweh, Malak Wafka, Daba'a, Aratazaka, Haya, Isha, Ba'arataza, Kao, Haya, Basamayim, Nathan Lanawa, Bakam, Kalyawam, Wasalak Nawa, Kabwab Waf Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kabwab Waf Yanawa, Wala'a, Tabaya Nawa, Batasayawan, Abal, Awashaya Nawa, Amayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Amalak Waf, Wa'ala, Wa'ataya Pyarath, Lawalam Yam. Amen.
Man, Khan, that was great, brother. All praises.
Uh,
All right, let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 9. All right.
This is Matthew 6 and 9 when you have it say,
Khan.
After this manner, therefore, pray ye our Father which art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
Khan. Khan. Well, again, I hope everybody enjoyed the class. Um, if not, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever. But again, we in here, each one teach one. Anytime anybody have something to say, just say Salakia, and you can go ahead and comment. It's not just strictly a dictatorship here, okay? So again, love everyone. Um, so you guys have a blessed day or night. We got next, um, Death to America and Shalom.
All praise God. That was a very, very good lesson, man. I appreciate that. You need to hear that.
Con. Appreciate it. Oh man, I think I got him off of Clubhouse. Shalakia Clubhouse. Hopefully you guys heard the prayer. We did it in Paleo and in English. My apologies for that. So again, we're going to sign out. HOI to the chariots fly. We got next. Death to America and Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.
Shalom.